play the game while you listen.
What's going on here?
But this ragtag crew of adventurers is covering the problems of the average player.
Where should I begin?
Discussing the home brews, modules, and the latest content for all things D&D.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
It's Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything.
What you're feeling is so normal and perfectly natural.
With your host, the Pirate Captain.
Everybody loves me, and I don't know why. I'm an asshole. I really am. The Pirate Captain is a dick.
Chef Bolgg.
Let me take a couple steps back so I can, really get this point across.
It's bullshit!
And Loke the Bard.
Instead of making a deal with Cthulhu or, a greater devil, you found an imp who was willing to give you dark vision in exchange for a gallon of blood.
With a little mayhem, mischief, and a bit of bardic charisma, it's time for the show.
Yar, we're back at it again, aren't we, boys? Yeah. It's a fun-filled adventure. It's enough. I have played so much of the Baldur's Gate 3. I'm just Baldur's Gate out for a little bit. I had to come get you together, get the crew together, so we could actually do something.
Let me save. Save.
Well, that's going to take you an hour and a half. Gosh, bud, come on.
Just hit F5.
But it still takes forever. Get over it. We got a show to do. Gosh. What are you just... Oh yeah, that's right. He's a single button typer. Gosh, it's good game, but there's our problems. We're gonna get into that today. What is happening, everybody? I am the Pirate Captain, as always, with my best buddy, Chef Bolgg.
That's me.
And Loke the Bard. He's not really a best buddy. He's just here for appearances.
Finger disappeared when I was like this. Oh, no.
We really need to get ourselves green screens because you can see through my headphones too. And of course, Mr. Producer.
Hey guys, how's it going?
This is the Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything. It's a D&D podcast where we talk about the game, things about the game, anything to do with the game of D&D, even Pathfinder and other different tabletops, because I have a friend who wants to kind of join us. He wants to talk about another game that he's like, this game's been around just as long as D&D. It's just as good. Maybe we may give him a shot. But as always, I got to get through the obligatory podcast stuff. Make sure you like, subscribe, share wherever you're listening, watching, or doing anything with the show. If you're throwing it in the fire, give the logs a like. They deserve it if they're burning our show. But we have got so much to get into today. First off, I got to go through the notes. So like, subscribe, share, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere there's social media. Just search Chef Bolgg.
X now.
It's X. That's right. That's what I'm not doing that. Like, I don't care.
It's the app formerly known as Twitter.
If he calls and pays me enough money, I will start saying X. If I just say Twitter, like, everybody knows, but it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. Like, nobody's Xing anything. It just sounds like I'm getting bad grades on paperwork again. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail. You can email us at Gmail, bolgandpc@gmail.com. If you have any likes, comments, concerns, gripes, bitches, complaints, mutiny request, as the intro guy does tell you. And there's all sorts of more content incoming. In fact, we're going to be doing a live Labor Day special. All right, I put that on the 3rd. Let me double check and make sure that's actually the Labor Day is the 3rd.
The 4th is the 4th.
The 4th. All right, so on the 4th, we are doing a live show on YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern. You guys can tune into that, listen, tell us what you think, yell at us there. That's always the best part. But I think I've covered all that. We got more content incoming. We're working on it. It's a work in progress right now. It just takes us a little bit. But we've also got a really good show planned for you today. And unfortunately, 3 out of 4 of us have played this game. So 3 out of 4 of us are going to be somewhat experts. And the 4th one, it's finally nice that he doesn't get to talk about anything. I've been waiting for this moment.
I can talk a lot still about it.
I'm going to throw something at you. You're lucky you're in another screen.
I did lots of research, watching lots of videos of other people playing so that I could dispute the captain.
I'm going to tell you. Go for it.
I'd like to reference what you said last night. Do you remember?
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't talk anything last night.
I believe the quote was, "This party sucks without a bar."
Okay. I didn't say it like that, but yeah. Okay. So here's the truth of that statement. Because it's hidden in lies. All the gear that I have found recently in the campaign. So let me break it down. So it's me and Mr. Producer. We're playing together, And then Bolgg's on his own solo campaign and Loke's being cheap. That's how this is working. And in the campaign, like I have a solo campaign going, but it's not near as far as me and Mr. Producers. And me and Mr. Producers, we're going to tell you about our campaign here in a bit. But all the stuff that I've been finding recently is for every other class that's not in ours, and it's mostly bards. It is mostly bards. It is all like geared around. And I was like, come on, guys. Nobody really wants to play this class. I think there are way better classes than the bard, and I'll get into that later. But it just, we did this super hard fight. Finally get through it. We TPK'd us twice. We finally figured it out. I figured a good way to do it on the third turn. Go to check this chest, and it's got bard boots in it. And it's like, really? Come on. You couldn't have given us something better, something that would have worked.
I mean, I thoroughly enjoy my solo play where I'm playing a bard.
No, you're not. You're lying to yourself and lying to the fans. It's okay to tell us that you don't like the bards.
I talk my way out of every fight, unlike you murder hobos.
Wait, don't spoil our story, because our story is pretty fun. Like our story's fun. Ipso facto, I got to play this clip for you. I think you're all gonna love it. Hold on, because I play in our campaign, in our playthrough. Me and Mr. Producers, I play the wizard. And so now, did I share the wrong screen? I think I shared the wrong screen. Oh, no, it's sharing the screen. All right, so check this out. I don't want it to blow y'all's ears out. Check this out.
No audio.
No audio. Yep.
So for the podcast listeners, they're showing a screen.
No, they can hear it, you dummy.
No, we can't hear it.
No, you can't.
You can't hear it. They can. Now I got to start it all over again. I figured this out the other day. You can't hear it. I don't know why.
Well, you probably should have told us.
I did tell y'all. Now I got to play the clip again. We'll drop the clip in the thing. It all boils down to our wizard's an idiot, and I did something stupid. But let's start with that. Let's get into how we're doing our playthroughs, and then we'll get into our thoughts on the game, what we can improve on the game, and then the big topic.
Let's start first with a spoiler warning if you haven't played it.
I am going to do my best not to spoil any major content. Like, I'm not going to tell you like the major story. I'm just going to tell you kind of how. Yeah, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm even wearing.
Oh, no.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty good shirt though. I like that.
It's what the game's basically centered around.
Alrighty, so let me our campaign. So our and I'm just going to call it our campaign just to make it easier to understand. So mine and Mr. Producer's campaign, we started off. Now I started off as a barbarian. I just wasn't enjoying the play style. It's like we need somebody that's like heavy hitter. So I
saw a big fire sword and wanted it.
I wanted it. I got bored of the fire sword almost immediately, and we still have the fire sword. I thought, no, I think we gave it away. So we started coming through there. So I was like, I'm not really enjoying this playthrough. So I switched over to be the wizard, and so now I'm the wizard. And our lovely Mr. Producer, he is now playing the paladin. He's kind of our tank. So it's him and Shadowheart, me and Astarion, because Astarion, and I have a love-hate relationship with that guy because he will miss all the non-critical hits, but he will hit all the non-important crap. And it's like, bro, I'm gonna strangle you. So we go through, we're playing through the campaign, and then all of a sudden we come up to this thing where we're taking on this owlbear that we randomly find. And I didn't know that killing, if you're going to play in a multiplayer campaign, you as a paladin are responsible for everybody in that campaign. Their reactions will affect you. So I killed the little owlbear, not thinking, because it was attacking me. All right. I feared for my life. I need that Uncle Jimbo. It was coming right at us. And because it did come right at me. So I hit it and I kicked it and it died. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Producer gets this thing of, oh, well, now you're an Oathbreaker. And living up to playing the character, not playing himself, he's like, well, I'm going to be an Oathbreaker. So now we're the bad guys. So we go through and we go into the goblin camp and we tell Minthra we're going to help her out. And then we're going to run over we go save Haslin. Haslin's like, I'm going to go to the Grove and we're going to help the Grove. We get to the Grove and he starts the content and he goes, they're like, well, now you have to pick a side. Minthra's like, you're going to join us. And the guys are like, are you going to join us? And then there's an Oathbreaker option that says,
They thought I was on their side.
Yeah, they thought I was on there. And it's ambiguous. Like, you don't know who's going to be on whose side. And he goes, click. And so Minthra is like, well, I guess that means you're on our side. And it's like, oh, well, I guess we're murdering a grove of people. And so we murder the grove of people. Fast forward, we're the bad guys. And we do good things, though. We're bad guys. But just because we're bad guys doesn't mean we're bad guys.
We play both sides, so we always come out on top.
That's the plan. Like, if the end of the world is happening, we want to know that we have a seat in the new world order. That's just
try more of a neutral playthrough.
Like,
True neutral.
I mean, in the where we're at right now, we definitely
you do good things by killing everybody.
I mean,
if
we're just
everybody's dead equally. Good and
Thanos had a theory, and I'm starting to side with Thanos in the world of Baldur's Gate.
Hey, if there's nobody around to tell you you're doing bad things, you can't do bad things.
Yeah, I killed my conscience years ago.
The victors are the one who writes history.
Exactly, and technically, I'm writing it right now because the paladin can't read, nor can he stand up on his own 2 feet. And I have a list of spells that Mr. Producer always gives me. Goes, you can't take that one, you can't take that one, and you can't take that one. And then whenever there's a new spell that I like, oh, this will be fun, and I find a new spell combo, you can't take that one either. Because I've
because I'll be doing my paladin thing, and all of a sudden I'll be prone or blinded or on fire
or reduced. The game is so much fun when you have somebody else to play with. I think 4 people is a little extensive. Like, it's hard to keep people corralled. I think 2 people is really good. But there's hilarity in all of it. But Bolgg, you're playing it by yourself, though, right? Like, you're entirely by yourself.
Yep, I'm playing a solo playthrough, and I'm having a blast. Eldritch blast, but
yeah, I was waiting for that. Look, that's it. He's like, I'm just having a good time. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. Like I said, we've killed more people that we've helped a lot of people, but we've killed a lot of people too.
I told you what I do. I go into a situation, and I see if I can talk my way out of it. I only fight if I have to. Does that mean I'm currently probably under-leveled for where I'm at? Yeah. But
well, you still get the XP for
from the RP.
So I don't know what you just blasting through the campaign then.
Yeah, we take time and explore everything, which is like something you do. I recommend, if you're going to play this game, I highly recommend, do not look at any guides. Don't look about how to do things. Make the mistakes and the discoveries yourself, because that's how we found out about the Adamantite Forge. And I hate to tell you this, and you're like, I want to know about the Adamantite Forge. It's like one of my favorite boss fights in this game so far is the Adamantite Forge. But the more you know, the worse off it is, because then you're like starting to skip through things because you kind of understand different things. But where I'm at right now, I don't know what's going on. So I'm just like, oh, I think this will be a good choice. And it's just like playing D&D. You're like, well, where is this going to lead? They've already got the dialogue already planned out. So you have to hit the combo. It's like hitting a combo in a fighting game. If you don't hit X square, circle, X in the right order, you could end up starting a fight by accident, versus if you just hit X, circle, circle, square, it's actually a very peaceful way to get through it, and you still get the experience.
Or if you just fail the check.
Oh, yeah, I'm really good at that one, too. Like, all the easy checks, like here's like even with advantage, you get 3 and 8. You're like, bro, come on. Yeah, chances of that. Turn karmic dice off, too. I've been meaning to do that in our playthroughs. Turn the karmic dice off and just let the rolls be rolls. Karmic dice is an option in there that it helps you if you have bad rolls multiple times in a game. It'll kind of like eventually build up to give you a good roll, but it also works with the enemies too. So
yeah, I turned that off the instant I started the game up.
Yeah,
because it was like let the dice rolls roll.
Yeah,
which has led to some funny like critical fails. Like the first chest I came across, I couldn't open because I kept critical failing it. Right, I used up all of my inspiration points.
So hold on,
critical
stop.
failed it twice.
Let me stop you right there. You use your inspiration dice instead of using multiple thieves kits.
I only had the one.
Well, that's
that
your problem. Yeah, you
At
gotta
that
go.
point in the game, I only had one. I'm talking like
This is the guy that he's like, hey guys, we really need to get through this door. Well, I can just go open the door. No, I gotta go through it. I gotta go through this door. Well, let me just go open it. Nope, I'm gonna go barrel through it. He's just sitting there blowing strength checks to like barrel through this door.
well,
Instead of just waiting like 5 seconds and going, oh, hey, let me just come over here. Oh, look.
It's like I said earlier before the show. I blasted through a door that if I had just waited and done my diplomacy thing that I have done this entire campaign, I would have been let into.
If you like, that's the beauty of this game, is that if you sit back and you think and you actually put some like pre-thought and pre-plan into this when you go into a situation, you will save yourself so much headache. That last boss fight we did, me and Mr. Producer, we got TPK twice, and TPKs actually in this game will teach you more than I think a TPK in regular D&D will, because you come back, you reassess the situation, is like, okay, what did we do here? How can we do it better? What's our step? What's our plan going forward? It took us 3 times, which I think is the most wipes we've ever had on a boss, was like twice, and then come back in and kill it a 3rd time. And
that's in D&D. If you TPK, you're done. You start a new campaign. It's not.
I think. And I'm trying to avoid getting into this because I do want to talk about that. I think that there's something about that where you can add to your campaign, but it'll come back in, you reset, and you go, okay, make sure I have a quick save so I don't have to go back and loot everything that I've already dropped. I've done that multiple times. So you have to go back in and you're going to, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to do this? Where do I want to be? And it really will help you out in the long run versus if you do, just like barreling through it and just trying to like face mash your way through this. There's so many different things in the environment that are useful to you. Like, I don't know, ice and acid and grease and fire. There's so many different things about this game that, man, I'm going to get into it. Oh man, weapon fire, freaking dipping your weapons in acid. I haven't actually been dipping Asterian's weapons in poison to my own detriment. Like, it's actually like, now it's like, okay, now I really need to start doing this.
You have a cool necklace that lets you, every time I heal you, it like automatically dips your.
Yeah, it gives me a D4 of poison, but I put on that drow poison and it lasted 1 turn, but it was still a good turn. And then you still got pushed off like 3 stories. That was hilarious. You got yeeted. I love that fact too, is you can yeet people in this game with like either spells or if you're strong enough, you can just go push them off an edge. You're like, I don't like you anymore. Oh, I can't believe
I had to use a spell slot for Will because he got pushed off of a thing and was in a place with no ladders. He had to go through like a cave system that I'd been through, and it was a bitch. So I was like, no, fuck that. I'm just gonna use a spell slot. Misty Step, get out of there.
I would have just like had him thrown himself off the edge and then just gone and resurrected him for 200 gold. It's hard, mate. Like, gold in this game, a pain in the butt to have if you're a wizard and you're trying to add all the spells to your spell book. Oh, but
I save up as many scrolls as I can. I have a scroll monkey who carries all my scrolls and uses them if I need them. And then usually it's Will, but then after I have enough money, I'll switch Will out for Gale and then have Gale learn everything. And then I still have thousands of gold because I just save it all up and don't spend it on anything. I usually barter.
I barter too, but it's still like, it's not enough. Like the income cost is really, it's tough, especially being
I've
a
had
wizard.
to pay your resurrection fees on multiple accounts.
Like, I can't help it. The game has a weird aggro issue. It plays very much like a Loke the Bard campaign where he's like, yeah, I could walk right to the first guy in line and attack him, or I could jump over, do a double swing on you, and then run out the rest of my turn, because that's what happens. Oh yeah. Oh man, this game is a Loke the Bard magnet. It really plays like UDM. I've had things that have been like, hey, that paladin over there who's done a lot of damage, screw him, go for the wizard. And I'm sitting over there, I'm like, hey guys, I'm just showing it. And this has happened. I show right up to the fight and everybody looks at me and they're going, kill that man. And they zerg, and they zerg me. Ask Mr. Producer. It happens all the time. Sorry, I'm making more coffee.
Yep. No, that's happened to me multiple times where I've had Shadowheart go in and just absolutely nuke the boss with a guiding bolt with a nat 20, and then they go, let's
Hey,
go for
wait.
the bard.
How does he get a nat 20 with his Shadow Heart? Our Shadow Heart barely does anything out, like any damage. She is literally a healer only.
Because she likes me.
Yeah.
She's a nerd.
You weren't saying
with
that
me.
when Guardian of Faith saved us the other day.
You don't have to roll a check on Guardians of Faith, all right? That dude, that Guardian
Spirit Guardian has done more damage than any Grease Fireball combo has.
Bullshit, it has. I have blown more things up, including my own team. Which is weird because that works. Like I can throw grease on the sphere and it doesn't affect you. But if I cast like Sleet Storm or something like that, it does affect you. Like that's
Sleet Storm an Evoc spell?
Conjuration.
That's why.
Yeah.
But Flaming Sphere's Conjuration, and so is Grease.
Yeah. Their area
So-
effect spells that you just
Yeah, but that's the thing.
gotta
like,
aim them.
So these okay, let's
Didn't ask what size the room was.
So if yeah, well, here's my here's my list of complaints for the game. It's a great game. I love this game so much. I have not played near as much WoW in the last couple of weeks as I've just been playing this game. Like I'm super like I need to get on and log on and do something with some of my characters this week. But I've been playing this game. I love this game, but there are major issues that I have with it that I think honestly, if you give people the chance, if the developers took these notes, I think people would enjoy them. First off, if you're playing a multiple person campaign, I do not need to see the opportunity attacks of the other person playing those characters. That's annoying. It really is. The reactions, yeah. So he plays a paladin, and when he's playing and he gets like Hellish Rebuke or Divine Smite and stuff like that, it stops me what I'm doing to let me know that he can make a reaction. I don't like that. I really hate that because I'm in the middle of like planning out my turn. And it's the way I explain it to you this way. It is having a friend. You're playing a campaign. You just got done with your turn. You're getting ready for your next turn. You're kind of like looking through your inventory. And the guy next to you goes, hey, man, it's your turn, even though you just went and your turn is not but like 4 turns away. It's very annoying. It's very abruptive to what you're doing. If I could get them to get rid of that, make it just an option. I can turn off the reactions from other players. So if Mr. Producer's playing, I don't see his reactions. He doesn't see mine. I would love that.
I have like eight pop-ups for my paladin because I have like Divine Smite, Hellish Rebuke, Luck of the Realms, opportunity attacks. I can see how it gets frustrating.
It's incredibly annoying.
But imagine it's basically like for the DM. DM wants to move a creature away, and then they're like, everybody at the table's like, "Oh, I got an opportunity attack."
That's fine. And now I was looking on it, and somebody says, "Oh, well, you can turn on the ask you questions, and maybe I can go turn off the ask you questions about his because I have certain abilities, like it's like the mage hand or not the I have Warcaster on my mage or on my wizard, so that way I can cast shocking grasp on creatures leaving my area. That I don't need, and he doesn't need it too, but it asks me because sometimes there's other reactions I'd rather take. So I do have that set on, but it really is highly annoying just to have those reactions. If it was a DM, like if we're sitting in a campaign playing on a table and board and Loke is doing that, then I understand. Hey, look, that's going to be kind of annoying with the amount of reactions. I'm playing a game. The DM is a computer. It already knows what it's supposed to be doing. It's going to make those moves. I don't need it to tell me these things. That's it. Second thing I would change. Oh my God, fix the camera system. Oh my God, fix the camera system. You're pretty much piloting the camera like it's its own NPC, and it's made for some really buggy pathing errors. We went to go start this combat yesterday, and I was like trying to like set Astarion up to where he could be in the shadows and he could just do his like sniping thing. I was going to go start the fight with my wizard because I had a new spell that I was going to try to help us out. I went to go click in the shadows, but where the camera was kind of like technically at, it clicked up on the next level and Astarion started the fight. And so we weren't all in position ready to start. This is when we were on our third attempt at this fight. This is after our 2 TPKs. And I was like, okay, let's do this a little bit smarter. Fix the camera issue. Like make it to where there's a button where I can like, there's levels in the game, like levels of the map. And I can go, okay, I need to go to level 2. So like hit plus and all right, now I'm on level 2. I can click level 2. That's it.
I have because I've been trying to like position correctly and I can't get to things or the camera doesn't get high enough. Give us like the arrow button and make the camera go up and down and like keep WASD as how you move the camera left and right and in the X space, and then use the Y space for the arrow buttons. That way you can move the camera higher, especially since you can just hit O and it goes to the tactical. Let me zoom that way out so I can see the whole battlefield.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Because sometimes like you're lost in like like if you're fighting in a building or something, it gets even worse because everything is like super tight and you're just like crunched in there. And it's not bad. It's not bad, but it does create really nasty pathing errors where you end up running out of movement because your guy's trying to run to the top floor for some reason. Like, bro, you were only supposed to go like 3 feet to your left. So the pathing errors are issues. And I think my last biggest complaint is there's like space issues when I can clearly see a space big enough to move like a bear through, and it's telling you can't go through that space because two characters are kind of like somewhat close together. And it's like, but half my body is already through this space. So there's just pathing errors that just need to be looked at. The bugs.
That one sounds like they're trying to make it like the real game where,
but
you can't make two adults can't move through a 5-foot space.
Right. So, but that's the thing is like, there's enough, like if in the space right here, like let's say the space is in between my two fingers and you see how my microphone is already through that space. That's the issue that I've already been. Like I've made the attach through this space, but it won't let me move through this space where my microphone is. The microphone can't move because these two are too close together. And it's just weird. Other than that, they have fixed the bugs. There's been a lot of bugs for like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, oh, there's not been any bugs with this. There's been a lot of them. We've had glitches and bugs and stuff like that. We couldn't get off the ship one time. We had to reload the whole campaign and start again. And that was it. But it's fixed. They're fixing the games. But these are like minor issues, like just gameplay, more like cosmetic stuff, if you ask me.
Well, I have some issues with differences they took from 5e to make it more of a game. I understand why they did it, but if you're going to tout yourself as this game is built on 5e, build it on 5e. I want my mage hand.
But I see your point, but there's so much of that just doesn't falter over. Like it just like having that mage hand run around. The mage hand could be broken already. Like I think if you do the arcane trick, I've not watched any guides. The only thing I've looked up on this game is like the class and race progression to see how they do, because I'm trying to understand it for this argument too of your 5e stuff, because they are different. But the mage hand in 5e could truly be a broken thing if you let it be what it can be. Like it can damn near do just about anything, especially if you're like an arcane trickster where you can go in and just gets your sleight of hand checks and everything like that. So there's a section where I was trying to solve the problem with mage hand, but my mage hand fizzled out before I could actually solve the problem, and then I couldn't cast it again. Yeah, because you have to go do a long rest. I love the long rest system though. If you do a long rest with a spoiler alert, if you do a long rest with all alcohol, you get a dwarven long rest.
Yep,
that's fun. But look, there's so much of this game that really couldn't tout over to 5e because of some of the there's already broken issues with 5e and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, then my other complaint is if you're going to video game, like the character customization. We're in 2023, dude.
Yeah.
Let me make my character look how I want them to look.
Yeah, I could see that. Like they could have added like more dials and faders and stuff like that to really kind of like adjust things. You have the preset faces, which are kind of very generic, and some of them are very like, I can't believe you did that, but okay. I can agree with that one, like having more in depth, but maybe that'll come in a later patch because I'd like to see them add more races down the line. Like I would love to play as a goblin in this game. Like I think that would be a lot of fun to be like a goblin and like everybody just hates you, kind of like they hate the tieflings.
I haven't really had a problem with it because I can just charm my way out of it. But
naturally in the game, everybody hates the tieflings, but it'd be fun to play like another hated race, like a goblin.
Because that is something that I really do like, is that it sticks really close to what 5e has done in terms of the story of the Sword Coast. People don't trust tieflings because of what happened to Elturel and the descent to Avernus content. You show in the beginning of the game, you go to Avernus.
Right.
You go to that blood war. You see everything going on, and you're attacked by devils and imps. And if you're savvy enough, you get your hands on a sword that belongs to a devil. Like,
nah, you don't do that. You just go, you barrel through it.
I mean, we specifically set out to do that and kind of blasted our way through it. We didn't really have any problem with it.
You can if you really want a tip for the first playthrough of the game, I'll give you this tip. You can action economy the first like the first like major baddie that you encounter. You don't really fight him, but you encounter him, and you can actually action economy and beat his ass and take his sword. And his sword's actually really good for quite a bit. I do like that. I think that's a good point. But like I said, the issues that I have with the game are it's not a bad point. Like to make it more 5e relatable, and the character creation thing I think could be used. But I'm hoping that that's going to be the character creation thing. I'm hoping it's going to be in a later patch. Like they're gonna, because there's no paying for DLC for this game. It's pissing a lot of developers off right now. The main people we talked about in our last episode, that there were players who didn't like the game, but there are developers who don't like this game because guess what? It's the closest thing to a finished product like you used to get back in the day, like I want to say like 2011, when you used to have these games and stuff like that that were complete. I can't see that, but I can't see. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 2. Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
So
because there wasn't DLC. You know what DLC was? Mods.
Yep. I do recommend not modding this game out probably for like the next, at least until it comes out on PlayStation, because then they'll have more time to finish getting the bugs. Because you were talking about, I think your mod would have been fun. Your mod with the roll for character stats would have been fun. But we were having issues, me and Mr. Producer, through our playthroughs, that the game just, I was like, if we put this in, I'm worried that it's going to bug the game out, and we're going to get to a point that we can't continue because the mod's interfering with the code, and then we'd have to reset all the way back, and we lose all our progress. I say if you give it till about, hey, let it get till the PlayStation release when they're focused and they've fixed everything and they're worried more about the PlayStation stuff, then start doing the mods. Because that mod does sound fun. It really does. But I was super worried that we would get like a couple hours into the gameplay and then it would end up messing up because of the mod. Like I didn't want to take that chance.
Well, being in early access for 3 years,
that's the thing.
Caught most of this bug.
Well, I mean, there's early access. How not a whole lot of people had early access. This game when it released just recently is when it's shot to the top because people were like, "Oh my god, this is actually going to be a fun game," and developers are pissing their pants on this one because there's no paid for DLC. They've talked about doing stuff down the line, but it's not going to be paid for. It's a finished product. You don't just start. Even on day one when you bought the game, loaded it in, and you started playing, there wasn't a whole lot of issues. There was issues, but it wasn't like you were encountering them every 5 steps.
I hadn't encountered anything that was game breaking.
Yeah,
and
nothing.
I've been playing since early access day 1. And I've never encountered anything.
There was nothing game breaking, nothing that says, okay, I'm going to put this down and go do something else. There was a lot of things that it was a little frustrating to have to reload and then do it again because the saves do take a little bit of time. Like when I was joking about that in the intro, the saves do take a little bit of time. Like you hit F5 and it's got to save and then it's got a cloud sync save and it's kind of annoying, but I understand what it's trying to do. That's okay. I'm fine with that. But having some of the bugs, like we were, Mr. Producer was stuck in in a bug where he was in dialogue mode, completely in dialogue mode. He had to exit the game, come back. We couldn't get off the ship one time, like because we couldn't go through the sphincter. I still love it. That was the name of the door. But there was so many. There's like minor things like that happen, and they've been fixing them. And that's it. So these other developers, like Blizzard's mad at them, and I'm going to tell you, Blizzard, get over your shit. Like I love World of Warcraft, but I'm tired of this like half-ass stuff that you guys are doing. And the people are thinking that this Microsoft takeover is gonna help Blizzard. It's not. It's not. It'll help it a little bit, but it's not gonna help it. And these other ones that are like, you can't. This game is terrible. Look at all this and all that. And it's like, bro, why are you mad? You know it's a good game. You know it's a complete game that's finished. Everybody is out. They are enjoying it, and you're mad that they enjoy it. You're mad that
that's
they
a standard, and
it does.
Other game companies are going to be mad at it now. They're going to be compared to Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay,
Yeah, I've heard a lot of interviews with stuff like that where it's like, we can't have this as the standard.
Yes, you can. That's the thing. That's what gamers want. And I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
right now, people will stop paying for games. I guarantee it. Watch it. People will stop paying for games if it doesn't meet the Baldur's Gate standard. It doesn't need to be 3 years in development. That was on Larian, and Larian said, "Hey, look, we're not releasing this unless it's perfect," because there was such high expectations from 1 and 2 that they're like, no. And Divinity, a really good game. These are our standards. We are not lowering our standards from this. And I'm gonna hear because I do this. So and it's the same way in
time if it means you're going to put out a good game.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Look at the Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy was in development for so long because they were trying to make it a better game, the best game, because there's a big name. When you were getting ready to release one of the most beloved childhood books of a lot of people, you're going to go and put that out on a game, and you're going to it's going to be messy. And it had bugs too. It had the same kind of issues that Baldur's Gate 3 had, just minor bugs. They went in, they fixed it. Take the time with these games.
Don't do CD Projekt Red. Don't do Bethesda. Release your game unfinished. Don't do it.
But Bethesda,
it's not what we want.
But Bethesda used to be a lot better on this too.
No, they
like
didn't.
Bethesda, like Morrowind. No, because Morrowind, the original Morrowind
released with bugs too.
But they fixed it. They fixed it in the same way with Oblivion. They fixed it. Bethesda used to be good about this. Skyrim, Skyrim had a lot of issues that they spent a lot of time. I really wish they need to get over Skyrim too.
What's the next big one coming out? Starfield?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Starfield.
But Bethesda needs to really crank down their stuff and get ready for it. So all these developers are mad, but they're playing. And like I said, in the last episode, I was talking about the players. I wasn't talking about the developers. There were players who were mad at this game because they've never played D&D 5e. And I think if you've never played D&D 5e, it was going to be a bad game for you because you weren't going to understand anything that's going on. Now, even 5e players were having an issue with it. They were having it when we were playing that 4-person campaign, when it was Bolgg, Mr. Producer, myself, and Felix. All 4 of us are playing the game. And Felix was getting...
shit when you really need to get
we really do need to get back to that. Felix was having an issue because his mind was wrapped around the rules of 5e. This goes back to what you were saying, Bolgg. The game is not 5e. It's not 1-to-1. It's not 1-to-1, right? There you go. Yeah. So it's not 1-to-1. So some of the rules of 5e don't encounter and play, and that's part of reading your abilities and not doing like I did and accidentally casting reduce on your freaking paladin when you should be in casting enlarge. It's reading the abilities and what they do, and he was having issues with that in understanding it. It wasn't that he was having a bad time. It was just like, hey, this isn't how it is in 5e. Okay, quit thinking is fourth dimensional. You got to think fourth dimensionally, Marty. All right. When you drive through this wall, it's not going to be there when you get to the other side of when you get back in time, going back to the Wild West. The wall's not going to be there. All right. You got to quit thinking fourth dimensionally. You got to think one dimensionally. Okay. This is a game. We're going to play the game. And so
a lot of it is stuff that we take for granted as D&D players, like choosing your hex. You just go, okay, it's wisdom. Bam, I'm done. Not have to go down to the bar, choose wisdom, and then you've accidentally used your attack on the creature thinking you already have hex.
Not only doing that, not examining the creatures and seeing what they're good at, what they're immune to. I've started so many fights and stuff like that. Or like just taking time to do an investigation check on the enemy itself. So doing something like, we'll get into the topic of what DMs and players can learn, but that's actually a good point. I want to unbind the C key, because C key is your natural like hide button. And I need to unbind that button because there's so many times like I'm trying to hit X and I fat finger C, because X is throw, C is hide. And hide is a action in combat. And you waste an entire action because you accidentally hit the C key. Happens to me all the time. But I'm trying to throw things. Like I use the barbarian to throw axes all the time. It's a fun way to keep your rage going. And we take these things for granted of like not thinking these through. And it's really good.
It was something that he was having trouble with. Felix was having trouble with. Is he was hitting C to hide, but he wasn't meaning to hide. He was trying to use his cunning action.
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a totally different bar, a totally different binding. So you can't just go, okay, I'm going to sneak, because you're thinking of it as
As a
obviously
player, as a 5e.
you want it to be a cunning action. The game needs you to tell it it's going to be a cunning action.
Yeah. But and this will get into like kind of our final topic for the day is what players and DMs can learn. Players need to learn to be more specific. I'm talking with some guys about DM in a campaign for them. They're players that have never played the game before. They've always wanted to play. They need somebody to DM for them. It's like I can do that. So I'm working with somebody to start DMing for them. But having your players be more specific, you're talking about having hex. That's the wording of hex right there. Is like you actually have to pick a skill or ability that they are to take down. And the game giving you those options tells you, okay, now you have to think about what you're trying to do. So maybe your enemy has a whole lot of dex, or maybe you're trying to like reduce his strength so he can't do so much. Like you have to kind of like put these thoughts through your process. But having your players be specific as a DM is actually going to be good, because you just letting them go, well, I'm going to hide. Okay, that's your action. Well, no. I meant bonus action. No. You just said hide. Now you've used that action. Now you only have a bonus action left. Like trying to make players more specific. And this isn't just a dog on players. I actually have tips for DMs to improve as well, what you can learn from this game. But that's the big one, is having your players absolutely be more profound with what they're doing, with what their actions are, kind of penalizing the player a little bit for being a goober, like just
Right.
like casting a reduce on your freaking paladin.
and it can teach them situational things as well. If most tables, if you say there is a town full of goblins, the town's been ransacked, it's on fire, what do? Most of them would not go, I walk in and talk to the goblins. Most of them would ready themselves for combat and make the first strike to get an ambush.
Right.
Whereas in Baldur's Gate, I started doing that, but they saw me, and then I realized, oh, I can talk to them. I can talk my way out of this. And I did just that.
It does. It absolutely teaches you that your players, that there's more than one way to solve the problem. All right. You can sneak in. I like saving the goblin priestess, and I've actually walked her right out the front gate. Like I just talked my way out of it. Like, oh, she's going to go help me take over the goblin camp. And everybody's like, sure, sounds reasonable to me. And so you get there, and then she helps you get in the camp, so you don't have to fight everybody. You just walk to the back of the camp and go do that part of the story. There's more than one way to solve every problem in D&D, and that's the beauty of D&D. It's all up to your creativity. So this one's going to challenge players. It's going to challenge DMs to be more creative too, because now they're going to have to set the picture a lot better. Here's your tip for a DM: learn to create. Look, you're going to probably be playing on a mat. You're going to have little miniatures, or you're going to have something that represent miniatures on your campaign. So you'll have a big square map. You can explain, you've got to paint that. It's going to teach DMs they have to be able to paint a better picture. Like they're going to have to be a little bit more creative. So you're going to have like lanterns that are above you, or you as a player are going to have to ask these questions. Hey, is there anything in the room that I could possibly see? And you can go, okay. So as you walk into the room, you look around, you can see that the statues are kind of crumbling. They're kind of not well taken care of, because goblins are not known for caring for things. There's some hanging lanterns up above certain areas, and you're like, hey, can I shoot that lantern and see if it'll fall down? And the DM can give you the chance. And the DM's obviously ultimately going to be the yay or nay, but it's going to take, this game can teach DMs to kind of like paint that picture a little bit better, to give players more options, which is going to create a better game for the players. It's going to be better in. So if you're a DM, I highly recommend you take time and play this game and see the zones and the maps that they're building, because it's going to help you out in the long run as a DM to be able to better paint pictures.
And that also can lend itself to more of a long-term kind of DM tip, is that think about how long Larian's been working on this game.
Oh, man.
It's been 3 years in early access, and it was at least 4 years before that, because they were working on it at the same time they were working on Divinity 2. And think about how much thought went into all of the interactions, all of the locations, all of the quest lines, all of that. is all things that a single DM has to do, and Larian's got a team of 100 people doing the same thing.
Yeah, spending years and years to put it together.
I mean, it doesn't mean you can't go to like, hey,
But
okay, so now branch out. What were you saying?
You could learn some of that stuff from there too, though. Like some of the storytelling things, how to bring a party together and force them, disparate people who have nothing in common, no back history together. The starting in a prison setup is a very common D&D trope start of a campaign. But what the little twists they do with the parasite is a beautiful twist, because that start doesn't last. Once you're out of the prison, you don't have the reason to stay together. Well, this gives you a little more reason until you solve that problem, obviously.
And they really did a good job.
Yeah. Or embrace it. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a really good job of actually keeping the characters together and stuff like that. They gave you a little bit of backstory in the game. I think that there's so much that the prison story is great, and it doesn't have to be a generic like you all wake up in Baldur's Gate prison. No, it's just like, hey, look, you
and you want to talk about raising the threat level right away. You're in a mind flayer prison. Mind flayers are nothing to be trifled with.
I mean, you did step on the brain of one early in the game, so
yeah, but he deserved it.
Yeah,
and he was mostly dead.
He was mostly dead. But that's the mindset behind that right there. Is just like there's so much to learn. Spell combos. I think as a players, you should learn how your spells combo together. Concentration, learning what spells are concentration and which ones aren't, and learning that there are negative for as many good effects in spells. There's also negative effects. Haste. Figured out lethargy. Lethargy is a thing with haste because I got Asterion blown up last night, and we were doing that the third round of that TPK that we ended up doing, and the boss dropped a bunch of mines around him, and he had knocked concentration off on my wizard, and I was like, man, why can't Asterion move? What the hell? I didn't get my turn, and Mr. Producer goes, well, he's got lethargy. I was like, how the hell did he get lethargy? He's lethargic, but he had lethargy, and I was like, how the hell did he get that? He goes, yeah, when you take haste off of something, it gets lethargic. There are banes and boons, and this is one for DMs, is knowing how these spells combo together. Like, okay, I'm going to cast Grease on top of Flaming Sphere because it's Flaming Sphere's concentration. Grease is not. Grease is just, I conjure Grease out on the floor. It explodes. Okay. The game actually doesn't count that. It counts that as like an evoc spell essentially, and it doesn't do damage to your team. As I've not noticed, it may, and I've just not been paying attention, but it doesn't do damage. I don't think it does. I don't think I've done damage to you because I know I've had the Flaming Sphere and drop Grease on. It does.
You're an evoc wizard?
I'm an evoc wizard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's counting as but it's a fun little combo. You can conjure water and then shock the water. I don't think shock is a debuff in 5e though. I've never really noticed.
It removes your ability.
It moves your reaction, but it does in Baldur's Gate. It actually does a little bit of damage. Kind of makes it worth it because removing your reaction isn't really that great, but actually being able to do a little bit, like, it's minor damage. It does. I think.
They can't. Shock and grasp does like a D8 or something like that off.
But
I could have used Shock and Grasp in Loke's campaign last week.
Yes.
Because I kept getting, I had to keep disengaging and running away, and I never had my action to cast the spell.
Yeah. So, I mean, but it actually does like residual damage outside. Like once you use Shocking Grasp, if they're shocked, they do that. And that's kind of something, it's something you can add to your campaign. So you as a DM can add these little effects that kind of like pair in together. So if everybody comes in and you come into a basement, the basement's being flooded from the rising tide levels. And one of your players goes, oh, well, I want to light a fire. Well, the fire diminishes because everything is damp in the air. The humidity's out. Okay, well, I cast shock, and then all of a sudden you electrocute the party. Like, they think the combos in the game are really good, and it's something that you as a player can take and use in regular games. You go, okay, well, I'm going to cast Grease on top of this. Grease ignites, and it causes the whole thing. And I think that's something I would say. DMs can definitely learn to be super creative from this game. Just being a better storyteller. Don't feel like you got to go in and create a whole world right there. Just think about you can go look at the maps and stuff like that online and go, oh, well, I think that would be a really cool thing to add in there. So you just kind of like copy their description down and you write it. Okay, there's crumbling statues and lanterns above, or all this other stuff. There's a ladder over there. Ladders blow up. Oh my God. Don't.
Yeah.
Well,
I had a Minotaur destroy my ladder down in the Underdark, and it pissed me off because I was like, shit, I have no way to get out of here. Oh, wait, I can just warp wherever I want to because game mechanics.
Yeah, that's something that does kind of get annoying. I wish there was like warp stones or something to keep you from just like porting everything. I like to walk and explore the game. And that's so I try not to port too many too many places.
Is your jump distance affected in 5e by your strength?
Yes, it's your athletics.
It is. Okay.
Yeah, since he's playing a paladin, he has super high strength. He can jump like to the 3rd story, and my freaking wizard's just like, bro, I'm reading books.
Well, that's something
shouldn't be quite
DMs,
that high.
Or he can jump pretty high. It's pretty crazy.
You can jump pretty high, but that is something DMs can learn about what not to do from Baldur's Gate. Is that Baldur's Gate is extremely generous with magic items and scrolls.
Yeah, Loke. Mr. Producer, do you want to tell me, you're going to call me out? Let me call you out.
I was saying, Loke the Bard's been holding out on us. There's magic weapons and scrolls in every other chest.
I mean, I'm
just
only
watching a couple like kids just juggle back and forth magic items. Like, yeah, look at what we found right here.
I'm only level 5. I shouldn't have access to +2 items, yet I do.
Oh, we were level 5, or we were level 5 or 6. We had adamantite items.
Well, yeah, because that's no spoilers, but you can get it. But you can build weapons. You can
so far.
Like, there's an awesome dagger that I built that I throw and it returns to me and does not only like more damage than usual, but also leaves them pretty crippled. I won't spoil what it is because it's a dagger you can build in game, but it's the amount of magic items that you get, and it was a problem with Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 as well, is insane. Like, the threat of fighting something that is resistant to normal weapons is not anything you have to worry about in Baldur's Gate, because you have those +1, +2 weapons by the 4th, 5th level.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with game balancing too.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're playing a solo the solo campaign, how big is your party? 6 people?
That's a pretty large party. So
yeah. The bigger your party gets, the more damage. The action economy is going to do. Giving a bunch of magic weapons on top of that makes it just silly easy for some of the high level stuff. So, and we play in our home game. It's 8 people at the table on average, sometimes more. If I were handing out magic supplies like candy,
you wouldn't be able to.
You'd wipe the floor with anything even close. I mean, as it is, I'm coding it as if the players were a level higher than they are, just to get the CRs to be somewhat of a challenge to them.
Yeah. Oh, that's the game does have tough enemies, even if you're geared out. Because I would say me and Mr. Producer are pretty geared out, but we still get our asses handed to us quite a bit.
And I think that's the game trying to encourage you to experiment with the way you're playing, like you guys were doing when you got TPK'd. Okay, let me go back, rethink the situation, and attack it from a different angle. Plus, the amount of scrolls you get is insane.
Yeah, that one's kind of.
I think about how many times in a campaign a wizard is going to sit down, spend the gold, spend the time to learn a new spell from a scroll. It's not very often. It might happen when there's a scroll that's useful to them, but you're not saving all the scrolls, giving them all to a scroll monkey to carry to use if they need them, but usually just to carry them so that you can then have your wizard, when you have enough gold, learn all those spells. So in one, just sit down session at a camp and learn all those spells.
And that's something that, that DMs can learn to challenge their players, is to make sure that their wizards are actually learning that. But here's another one that I think that DMs can learn from this game: making sure your players have their spells prepared. That's the big thing. because you as a DM, we as DMs, we get lazy sometimes because we're trying to we're tracking monsters, we're tracking players, we're tracking this, that, and another. I think that you as a player need to really, you got to hold yourself accountable, one, but you as a DM need to make sure, like what I would do now is, and I think I'm going to do, if I start DMing this campaign, is if I have a wizard or I have anybody that has prepared spells, is I'm going to make them list out, hey, I need to see your prepared spells. And I don't mind people changing. I like the fact that Baldur's Gate, I think this is something that DMs and players can take away from too, is that once you're out of combat, you can change your spells. Like you don't have to go back to, at first I thought you had to go back to camp because that's what you'd have to go back somewhere and rest. And that's when you would, in the game.
In the game, you would have to take a long rest to change out your spells in table.
I don't mind players changing their spells outside of combat. Like, hey, man, I just found out that these guys, they're immune to fireball. Let's just use that as an example. Mm-hmm. So let me change this out and maybe use chromatic orb or something.
So, and it's something that, like, some of the most popular mods right now, I will never download because it's messing with the integrity of the game. And that's unlimited spell slots, unlimited gold, like unlimited carry weight. And stuff like that. Gold has carry weight, and I love it.
Oh, that's awesome!
That I have to split my gold between my party members if I want to be able to. Not
can we go back to? Can we go back to like one of those earlier episodes where I was talking about carry weight? You know, I was like, I miss carry weight. I'm just saying that one. Right
it's awesome. You have to resource manage.
Yeah, it's much easier to do that in a game
smaller
where the computers. Well, the game where the computer's tracking it all for you too.
Yeah,
yes, that's also true.
I think. And you've got a point there, but I think that in your situation, Lo, because you DM for 8 people, that's different. Like trying to keep track of that, it's very hard. But if you're like, if I have 4 players, if I'm sitting here, I'm the DM, and it's you 3 plus 1, and that's a little bit easier managed. All right, where I can say, hey, how much are you carrying right now? Like, show me what you're carrying, so I can do a breakdown and make sure you're not over encumbered and stuff like that. You're right. Absolutely get that. The game makes it easy. I think that's something that you can learn.
And there's a lot of app like the D&D Beyonds and those kind of apps that do your character sheet stuff for you nowadays. A lot of them have the functionality where they will track your encumbrance for you.
Yeah.
So it's easier nowadays than it used to be, but it's still one of those things. Especially in a large group, it's a lot on the honor system because.
So, but that's like I said, these are the lessons that you can learn from Baldur's Gate that'll help. I'm going to tell you, these are things that will make your campaign a lot better, just from being descriptive or being more thinking through things, or just making sure that everything is kind of like carried out. Like you can't have unlimited spell slots, or how many spell slots. I actually, when I play casters that have spell slots, I usually keep like a die out there that represents spell slots for each level. So once I burn out all those spell slots, I usually just take the die off the table, and that's something. But making sure that characters have the right spells prepared, I think it's better. I think it's okay to let characters like change their prepared spells in between combats. It's like, as long as you're not in combat, when you can sit there and think about it, man, hold on, let me look through my book. Okay, I want this spell instead. All right, this one's prepared. I don't mind that. I think that's okay. And it's a lesson that we can learn in 5e that we could take from this right there. There's probably a lot more that I'm not even thinking about, because the spell combos. I love the spell combos. Grease on fire, water, electric. Okay, that's pretty good. That's just common sense.
And those things make sense. The problem, some players are going to come up against some DMs who aren't going to allow those things because they're not spelled out in the book. Like grease in the old days, it was clearly stated that it was flammable and it had what the damage was when you lit it on fire. In the current edition of 5e, that makes no mention of that. It just says it's grease. Now, logic, grease is flammable, and there is in the book rules for damage from natural fire.
I'm going to call out DMs on that one then. Yeah. Like, let me call out the DMs on that one. Quit being lazy. You're the DM. You're already God. Roll a D6 and call that damage. Like you're allowed to. If it gets hit with a heavier spell, let's say a firebolt into grease does a D4. Okay, then chromatic sphere into grease does a D6. Fireball into a grease pit does a D8. Like, it just use your common sense. Quit being a lazy DM and let the, because that right there, I'm going to tell you, when a player figures that out, it's that aha moment. I love that about this, about Baldur's Gate 3, is when I had that aha moment of like, holy crap, I can cast Flaming Sphere, drive my sphere around, and then just drop grease on top of the sphere and have like a little AoE thing. I was like, this is awesome.
That happened to me with recently. I switched out Will for Gale because I found a weapon. Well, I built a weapon that amplified cold damage. And I was like, okay, well, the only one who knows cold spells is Gale. And then just with abilities that pile up on top, it basically let me tank a big enemy with Gale alone. Like, I was using the other characters to fight other small things while Gale was just fighting the big enemy, and he did it all by himself.
Yeah. I think I know which weapon I have. I think I have it. I carry it. I got that and another staff. I got the staff from the hag, which is a really good staff. A little underwhelming after a bit, but it's still a decent staff. I tell you, the one thing that I think that this game really can learn from, and it'll probably be the last thing I could say, is the crafting system in this game is awesome. Like, crafting items, reading the books that'll give you, like, reading a book will tell you, hey, okay, hey, you need these items to create a potion or a weapon or do this. And it's something that DMs can take into note. Like, you find a book and it has it has a formula for how to create a potion. Cool. Can I use a nature check to make sure that the ingredients are somewhere I can find them? And then in DM, it's going to give you a chance as DM to go, okay, hey. So I go for it, man.
We've mentioned this in previous episodes, but one of the things I wish Wizards would put out would be a book on crafting with actual formulas. Like, because in Xanthars, they have the little thing where it's like, oh, to make a plus whatever weapon, you need a CR whatever monster part, this many hours and this much gold.
Yeah.
You looking at us, Wizards?
Yeah.
Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's recipes for everything. Let us build the recipe book.
Come on, Wizards.
You want a flaming sword? Okay, it's a devil heart, some adamantium. Yeah, that word. Metal and
words are hard today.
A forge, and you go ahead and you build it, and you build a flaming sword. Right, but if you find a CR5 that has nothing to do with fire, you're not going to build a fire sword. Why is that the way the formula is in the book?
Yeah, I think that that would actually be a book I would actually pay for again too. Like, having a crafter's book and stuff like that. It's a DM's module, really. So it's not really for the players, it's the DMs. But if a DM's got it and goes, hey, here you go. What do you want to build?
Other things in there, like universal pricing for magic items.
Man, that would be really good.
Like, because what rare parts now go into this magic weapon, so you could calculate what it would cost somebody to make that magic weapon. So you put that number as part of the page.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this typically would cost 1,000 gold to make, probably sells for 2,000 gold.
Right.
Nice, easy.
One for one conversion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. That would be my last tip, is what players can learn. And like, you could just really go copy. You can go online and find all their their creation lists and stuff like that. So you can go over there and just copy that. Just, okay, hey, look, you want to make a healing potion, you're going to need Mugwort and Rogue's Cap, and you got to grind it down. Make a check for it. Make a freaking medicine check. Okay, look, I'm using the mortar pedestal. You didn't grind it down enough. It's less effective. It just does a D4. It's not like a D4 plus 1 or something. Things that are useful. Yeah. So, all right. Don't forget, because I got to make sure I shout this out, on Labor Day, the 4th, not the 3rd, the 4th. We are doing a Labor Day special live show. We'll be doing that on YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you tuned in for that. All the crew will be here. I may see if I can't talk one of our other buddies into joining us. I don't know if they will, but we'll find out. You can go find us on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail. Facebook and Twitter, it's Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captains. If you just search that, it's going to find us. We are now starting to pop up everywhere. And Gmail, bolgandpc@gmail.com. You can email us with your gripes, bitches, complaints. Mutiny requests are accepted, but sometimes they will make you walk the plank. And we definitely have more content incoming. I look forward to all the stuff that's coming up. With that being said, say goodbye, Bolgg.
Bye, Bolgg.
Say goodbye, Luke.
See ya.
Say goodbye, Mr. Producer.
Later, guys.
So, have a good one, guys.
You've been listening to Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything, featuring Loke the Bard. Like, follow, subscribe, and share this podcast. You can also find them on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. Questions, comments, and mutiny requests can be sent to bolgandpc@gmail.com. And as always, happy adventures.